397-2737. See why folks who know to call M.E. Moore Construction. Building a better Columbia County, one project at a time. Shop local. M.E. Moore Construction in St. Helens. 503-397-2737. That's 503-397-2737. M.E. Moore Construction. Reasonable price and the first in quality. CCB number 163079.
Hi, I'm Jane Lynch, and I've recently discovered that I'm the center of the universe. Not because I'm a huge celebrity, which I totally am, but because I have Xfinity. I get all my favorite movies and shows available instantly on demand. It's entertainment that's all about me all the time. See, with Xfinity, you don't have to be a big star to be the center of the universe. Like what I did there? Star, universe? Give it a minute.
Call 1-800-XFINITY today and switch to Xfinity TV only from Comcast for $29.99 a month for a whole year and get 3 months of HBO included. With Xfinity On Demand, you can watch all your favorites on TV and online instantly, anytime, anywhere. Satellite can't match that. Plus, enjoy hit movies and award-winning original series with HBO. So switch to Xfinity TV for $29.99 a month for a whole year with HBO included for 3 months. Call 1-800-XFINITY today. Offer ends 3/6/11. Restrictions apply. Limited to digital starter TV for new residential customers. Minimum 2-year contract required. Early termination fee applies. After promotion, regular rates apply. Equipment installation taxes and franchise fees extra.
And welcome back in. It is Columbia County Today here on AM 1600 KOHI. We're going to get Tammy on here in a second, talk about the hospital board meeting last night. I also want to remind people that we try to separate some issues here. I had a call from a lady this morning who said, why didn't we talk about this meeting on the news this morning? Well, some things we talk about that are politically heated, we try to separate from the news and talk about on this show. And this is one of the things that has been politically heated. And we try to keep our news simply to events that we can value that actually happen. And I was not at that meeting last night, so I did not have a chance to include that on the news. There you go. That's it. You know, one man, one news. That's the way it is. All right, Tammy, you were at the meeting last night, so you can report to us on what the heck is going on.
Well, I have to admit that I'm the culprit that called BS on their BS. And
all right, wait a minute. Maybe we can combine what you're about to say with this email that I got from Brady. You want to do that?
Sure, go ahead. Read Brady's email.
All right, he sent me an email. He says, hey, Marty, I attended the public health meeting last night. During the public comment section, Jay Tappan and other board members got into an argument with several of the people in attendance after saying they did not want to get into an argument. The board started to argue that the Columbia Health District, formed to build the hospital and is only a small portion of Columbia County, and public health, a federally mandated program supported by state and federal grants, are the same. To this response, a member of the public stated, BS. We can't say that on the air, as I told Ernie Hancock yesterday. At this point, similar to the Vancouver City meeting, Mr. Tappan said he would gavel down the public, but that we don't do that here. Finally, Gary Heide made a motion to adjourn the meeting. There was a second by Mr. Tappan and a vote to adjourn. As the board got up to leave, Mr. Tappan said, thank you, Tammy, for wrecking our meeting. We have this meeting on videotape, and we'll post them soon to our website. That's what Brady says. And Brady goes on to say, and he's just about done here, this is ridiculous. He and the board acted like children. Certainly, as a public representative, you will occasionally have to deal with the public. That is not always the most respectful. That is what dealing with the public is. If you don't like that, don't serve on a public board and don't serve in a public position as fire chief, then refuse to live by an election. And this is Brady talking now. The entire board then left the room as the public was getting ready to leave. A few minutes later, Ms. Ladd, I believe, came back into the room and said, we have called the police. Again, Brady says this action is absurd. Certainly public discourse will not always be fully polite, but to call the police because someone said BS should not be a crime. No one asked anyone to leave. We were in the process of leaving anyway. No one made any threats. It was totally absurd. And that email this morning from Brady, he went on to say, Tammy, that number one, do the research, document that Columbia Health District and public health are not the same. Document this each week and refuse to publish any letter or comment that states the contrary. 2, publish the actions of the health board. and publicly request the resignation of the board. And 3, continue to run articles and programs on the hospital board and the fact they continue to refuse to acknowledge the November election and continue to illegally collect taxpayer funds with no plans on returning this money or plans to stop collecting it. That was an email I got this morning from Brady Preheim. So there you go, Tammy. You can respond to that or go on from there.
Well, Brady's right. Well, you know, when I got up and spoke, I guess they thought that I'm a little loud, but when I'm a very matter-of-fact person, and I speak clearly. All right, if that offends them, I'm sorry. But what really irked me was when you ask these people a simple question. Well, I was making a comment about some of the rhetoric that they're putting out in their letters to the editor, that anybody that's running against the board is either trying to shut public health down or is going to shut public health down. It'll go away. And that's not true.
No, that's not. And what we need to state again is that the Columbia Health District and public health are not the same.
That's right. And I told them that. And I said, you can go to the courthouse at the commissioners' meeting. I have said it publicly over and over. I support public health. I'm not against public health. And even if I wasn't, I couldn't do nothing about it because it's mandated by the state. It's not even an arguable point.
No.
And then, you know, things led to this and that, and about how, you know, I was so disrespectful because I said to him, well, either it's your ego, your arrogance, or your ignorance that's running this board. And personally, I think that they're being disrespectful to over 10,000 people that voted to get rid of this bogus critical access hospital.
Let me ask you just one thing. At any time, did you or any of your folks with you physically threaten the board members or anything, give them any reason to call the police?
Absolutely not, and that never even crossed my mind. I admit that I got irked with them after 6 years of listening to their blatant lies. And you know, Marty, I've talked about this before. Way back in the day, Thelma Bonner and I went and asked them questions at meetings, and they didn't want to answer them. And they put in their minutes one time that said, give Thelma Bonner and Tammy Megra a wide berth. I felt that that was an insult to me.
Well, to use in my view, and again, I wasn't at the meeting, but I've always felt that for a public official to use the police in a way to threaten people when they do not, in fact, threaten them, borders on what we call it, tyranny. Shall we call it, you know, whatever you want to call it? But you know, the Clinton administration got into trouble with using the FBI as its own personal police force there, if you remember back. And certainly, it's an abuse of power, in my view.
Well, I do too. And you know, maybe I shouldn't have said called BS on their BS, but I had enough of it. And I'm not going to sit there and let them spread blatant lies about me in the newspaper of things that I've never said or that I'm not going to do.
One thing's for sure, this is going to be an interesting election coming up, you think?
I think so. Well, one more of their board members has resigned the 1st of January.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're down to, well, she was one that I think was not up for election. So now she's resigned. But, you know, I'm out there, Marty, for the will of the people. The people have spoken, and whether this board likes what the people have said or not, they need to abide by it. Now, they're going to court to see if they can overturn Thelma's initiative. You know, why don't they just do what the people say or people are asking them to do, and none of this would go on. If they would be more open to the public when asked a question instead of pushing it off and him-hawing around, you know, and I asked the board, are you going to basically clamp down, I can't remember exactly what I said, on, you know, the person that's the media, whatever you want.
Well, let me share this with you, and again, this is just my opinion, but I think that the board has done a very poor job once again in publicly communicating why they are going for a declaratory judgment. Obviously, the newspapers are trying to sell papers, and hey, we're a radio station. We like to get people listening. But my view is, as the owner of the station, I would just like to figure out, first off, the money trail. Where's the money going? My dad brought me up this way. He said, follow the money trail. He said, if you ever have a question about why something is happening, just follow the money trail, and you'll find the answer 99% of the time. That's been pretty good advice so far.
Well, yeah, and why do we still have a hospital spokesman when there's no hospital project?
Beats me, baby.
You know, and these are the kind of questions that people were asking. And why, when you go to ask for a public record, they want to charge you an arm and a leg? If they were willing to work with you for you to have information, they wouldn't charge you a couple $300. You know?
Well, I don't know. It just seems like, again, it's another Columbia County mess that we've got to sort out.
Well, and it's too bad that they feel that they need to call the police and take the police away from other important duties that they were doing.
And let's remember that the police are human beings too. I mean, do they need this additional stress? Right now, obviously, I think the police departments are a little bit on edge because, as Pat said earlier, we've had some incidents around with police officers going down here, so that's going to put them on edge because they're people too. They're just like us. They're no different.
Well, that's right.
And so to stress them out and to bring them into this when there really doesn't, and again, I wasn't there, but there doesn't appear to be, other than a little name-calling and a few swear words, hey, there probably isn't a day that goes by that doesn't hit me in the face, too. So I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Get used to it. Grow up a little bit here.
Well, yeah. And, I would never, ever think about harming anybody, so I don't know, and I know other people in that room wouldn't either.
I don't know, Tammy. You must be more intimidating than we give you credit for.
Well, I guess. Jesus.
All right.
I just wanted an answer, but, if they want to, talk about disrespecting them, like I said, there's 10,000 plus voters that they're disrespecting right now. So. Well,
and once again, I'll let you go, but I want to extend the dove of peace here to anybody on the hospital board at any time. They are welcome to this microphone to come on and explain what's going on and be open about it. And I will give Jay Tappan credit. He has taken me up on that offer when I've asked him. So, I'm not going to diss Jay for that. Unfortunately, I think he's in a bad situation right now. But again, if we can open up the microphones here and dispel some of the rumors and open up the books and see where the money is, hey, I'm all in favor of that, and I would open up the radio station to them to do that.
Well, I have no hard feelings against any of the people on the board.
No.
Sometimes democracy isn't always a calm thing.
Oh, I know it's not.
Everybody's human.
That's right. You got to plant your flag, and you got to stand by what you believe.
That's right.
All right, Tammy.
All right, thanks for the time.
Okay, you betcha. Let's jump over to, hey, here's another candidate for the hospital board, Stephanie.
Hey.
We're getting awfully political here today. It's kind of exciting.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I was at the meeting last night, and, it was bad. I feel bad. I feel bad for the way it turned out. For everybody in that room, including some 70 and 80-year-old people who were sitting there asking questions along with everybody else. First of all, I want to make sure that everyone knows that during the meeting last night, no one even raised their voices, okay? And here's where I thought about this all night. Here's where I think the problem has come up. Throughout the campaign cycle or the election cycle, numerous statements were made by various representatives, we'll say proponents for the hospital, the building of the critical access hospital, and against Thelma's measure, that linked public health to the hospital tax.
Right, I think that's an important point. I think you're making a good point there.
Things like, if this measure passes, public health is going to be threatened. Well, only indirectly, but they didn't say indirectly by X. They just made blanket statements that way. So when I read those statements in the paper, heard them on the radio, Marty, I immediately started connecting public health with the tax dollars that were supposed to be allocated for the construction and operation of the hospital.
Right.
Okay, and I think a lot of people did also. When you put the two together, you think public health, tax hospital initiative, tax dollars, public health. You link them together.